What if Lamine Yamal wins the World Cup? Because Lamine Yamal is no longer a promise, he is a sentence. And the main victim of this new era has a name and surname, Kylian Mbappe. Because the story was supposed to be different. Mbappe was supposed to inherit the throne after Messi and Cristiano. He already had a World Cup finals, big nights, and the aura of an inevitable player. But then a kid from Barcelona appeared without asking permission. A kid who did not come to learn from giants. He came to start beating them. And the most brutal part is that we are not talking about random matches. We are talking about nights where history is decided. Euro 2024 semi-final.
Nice call!
Spanish Super Cup 2025. Copa del Rey final 2025. Nations League semi-final 2025. Spanish Super Cup 2026.
Lamine Yamal taking on Carreras, finding Fermin.
FIFA World Cup 2026 semi-final. 6 massive stages, 6 knockout games, or one-off finals. 6 chapters where Mbappe was supposed to impose hierarchy, and 6 times Lamine Yamal came out alive. That is not coincidence. That is competitive ownership. In Euro 2024, France arrived as one of the favourites, and Mbappe arrived as the captain of a team built to win. But Yamal, at only 16 years old, produced a ridiculous goal from outside the box in the semi-final and changed the destiny of the tournament. Spain eliminated France, Spain reached the final, Spain won the Euros. That was not just a goal, that was the warning. The kid was not going to wait for his turn. Then came the blow at club level. Real Madrid signed Mbappe to dominate Spain and Europe. But the first major clash against the new Barcelona became a humiliation. Spanish Super Cup 2025. Barcelona 5-2 Real Madrid. Again Lamine, and it did not stop there. Copa del Rey, final 2025, another Clásico. Barcelona won again, 3-2, and Yamal walked away victorious again. Mbappe could score, he could compete. But the final result kept saying the same thing. When the match was huge, Lamine won. Then the 2025 Nations League turned the rivalry into a nightmare. Spain 5-4 France, a wild semi-final. And Yamal did not just play, he scored twice, a double against France, another final Mbappe did not reach. That is when the comparison stopped sounding exaggerated, because Mbappe was still a global superstar, but Lamine was already beating him in the moments that weigh the most. Then came the Spanish Super Cup 2026, another victory for Yamal, and then came the strongest blow of all, the 2026 World Cup semi-final. France dreamed of another final. Mbappe dreamed of his 3rd consecutive World Cup final. But Spain won 2-0, and Lamine was once again on the right side of history. He did not need to score to alter the match. He provoked, he unbalanced, he forced France to live uncomfortable. He won the penalty for the 1-0 with a clever action against Lucas Digne. And when the match ended, the image was devastating. Mbappe out, Yamal in the final. That is why the question no longer sounds absurd. What if Lamine Yamal wins the World Cup? Because his career is moving with an almost impossible logic. Competition he touches, competition he wins, or transforms. With Spain, he already won Euro 2024. And he did it by being decisive. A historic goal against France, an assist in the final against England. 1 goal, 4 assists, and the Young Player of the Tournament award. He also became the youngest goalscorer in European Championship history, at 16 years and 362 days old. With Barcelona, he already has league titles, Spanish Super Cups, and a Copa del Rey. Before turning 19, his trophy cabinet already looks like the resume of a veteran. 3 La Liga titles, 2 Spanish Super Cups, 1 Copa del Rey, 1 European Championship. More official trophies before 19 than Messi, Cristiano and Mbappe had at the same age. But this is not only about trophies, it is about numbers. At 19 years old, Lamine Yamal already has 30 goals and 34 assists in La Liga. In the Champions League, he has 11 goals and 10 assists. With Spain's senior national team, he has 20 direct goal contributions in 32 matches. This is not a winger dribbling for the camera. This is a player producing, deciding and sustaining elite attacks. His best season was, of course, 2024-25. That year, he guided Barcelona to the La Liga title with 9 goals and 15 assists in 35 matches. He became the offensive soul of Hansi Flick's rejuvenated Barca, the piece that turned Barcelona into a more vertical, more aggressive and more dangerous machine. And in the Champions League, he did not hide either. Between 2024 and 2025, he produced 9 goal contributions in 3 key Barcelona matches, proving that the European stage was not too big for him. Even in the blow against Inter, when Barcelona were eliminated, Lamine still left his mark with a goal in the first leg. Even in defeat, he found a way to appear. Then, in the 2025-26 campaign, he kept an absurd rhythm, 28 goal contributions in 28 league matches, and in the Champions League, 6 goals and 4 assists in 10 matches. Those are franchise player numbers, and that is the most dangerous thing about Yamal. He does not need to play every match like the best player in the world to decide like the best player in the world. He already said it with the mentality of someone chosen for big nights. The closer the semi-finals and finals get, the better he plays.
No, imposible de ganar, no. Pero, por ejemplo, ¿Francia mejor que nosotros?
No,
¿No?
no. No nos han ganado desde la Eurocopa. No pueden ser mejor que nosotros.
Bueno, pero digo lo que están mostrando.
Eso da igual. La fase de grupo no tiene nada. Mira Alemania.
And the records only make the story more absurd. He debuted for Spain at 16 years and 57 days old. He scored in that same match against Georgia. He became the youngest player and youngest goal scorer in the history of La Roja. At the Euros, he became the youngest player to appear, the youngest to play a knockout match, the youngest to score, and the youngest to play a final. This is not normal. This is football moving too fast. And now Spain are in the World Cup final. They have already eliminated France. They have already silenced Mbappe. They have a historic, unbeaten run. They have control, pressure, defence, youth, and a generational talent who does not hide. Spain do not depend only on Yamal, but Spain grow when he touches the ball. He does not need to monopolise the game. One pause, one diagonal, one penalty won. That is enough to change the destiny of a night. And that is the difference. So what happens if Lamine Yamal wins the World Cup at 19? Football will have to change the conversation forever. He will no longer be the future. He will be the kid who beat Mbappe in almost every major chapter. The kid who turned every great duel into a power statement. The kid who already won with Spain, already lifted trophies with Barcelona, already broke European records, already decided Clásicos, semi-finals and finals. And if on Sunday he lifts the World Cup, the sentence becomes inevitable. Lamine Yamal is not coming to inherit the throne. He came to take it from everyone. But to understand why this question feels so dangerous, you have to understand where Lamine Yamal comes from. Born in 2007, raised between Rocafonda, Mataró and La Torreta, football was never just a game for him. It was his language. On the streets, on small pitches, against older kids, Lamine learned to dribble, survive contact, and invent solutions where everyone else only saw legs. That is where his essence was born. Natural talent, street football, improvisation. That is why the Messi comparison exists. Even if Yamal tries to escape it, both are left-footed. Both came through La Masia. Both play from the right with a left foot that looks like a magic wand. And yes, there is even that symbolic photo of Messi holding baby Lamine during a UNICEF campaign. That is what makes him so fascinating. His talent has flashes of Messi, but his ambition feels closer to Cristiano Ronaldo, because Yamal does not speak like someone who is happy just to arrive. He speaks like someone who believes he is supposed to dominate. When he lost the Ballon d'Or to Dembélé, he did not shrink. He said he did not dream of winning one Ballon d'Or. He dreamed of winning many. That sentence tells you everything about his mentality. And Barcelona saw it early. The club signed him from CF La Torreta in 2014 because there was already something different in him. In the academy, he was absurd. 357 goals in 249 official matches. He played above his age group and still stood out. Then Xavi saw him training with the first team and understood the same thing everyone would understand later. This kid was ready. On April 29, 2023, Lamine Yamal made his Barcelona debut against Betis at only 15 years old, and now one of the youngest players ever to reach a World Cup final. But the most important thing is not the age, it is the context. Yamal is not breaking records in empty matches. He is breaking them where history is decided. Euro 2024 was the moment the world realised. In the quarter-finals, he assisted against Germany, and in the semi-final, when Adrien Rabiot said he still had to show more, Yamal answered with a cold message: move in silence. Then he scored a ridiculous goal against France. And after the match, he said it: speak now, checkmate. At 16 years old, he did not just play a European Championship semi-final, he owned the moment. Then, in the final against England, he assisted Nico Williams for the opening goal. European champion, young player of the tournament. That is not normal. That is mentality. And with Barcelona, the pattern continued. In the 2024-25 season, he became one of the symbols of the club's rebirth. 17 goals, 20 assists, 53 matches. He assisted Lewandowski in the league debut against Valencia. He scored in the Clásico and became the youngest goalscorer in history against Real Madrid. He rescued points in the 92nd minute against Atletico Madrid. And he appeared again in the Clásico that pushed Barcelona toward La Liga. In the Champions League, he left his mark too. Against Benfica, he scored and assisted in a performance that felt like a superstar announcement. And that is the point. Every time the stage gets bigger, Lamine looks more comfortable. The pressure does not reduce him, it sharpens him. That is why calling Yamal overrated is missing what is happening in front of us. No player this young has been asked to carry so much, but no player this young has looked so prepared to carry it. His style is winning.
Han sido los partidos grandes. La exhibición que hace en las semifinales de Champions contra el Inter la temporada pasada.
Le gusta, se crece.
Se crece, le gusta la presión y yo os digo, mañana Lamine va a ser un espectáculo.
His football has Messi's fantasy, but his mentality looks toward Cristiano. And now, Spain are in a World Cup final. The story is standing on the edge of something absurd. Because if Lamine Yamal lifts the World Cup at 19 years old, the conversation changes forever. We will not be talking about potential anymore. We will not be talking about a future Ballon d'Or candidate.
Si estuviera él, te diría, para mí es el mejor jugador y ha hecho méritos más que suficientes para ser Balón de Oro, perdón.
We will not be talking about the next face of football. We will be talking about a kid who turned pressure into fun, talent into trophies, and the biggest matches in the world into his natural stage. To understand Lamine Yamal, you cannot only look at goals and assists. You have to look at where he receives, what he provokes when he touches the ball, and how he forces opponents to change their entire structure.
Y la amplitud que siempre manteníamos con Lamine, con Nico, la profundidad que nos garantizaba siempre Álvaro Morata.
Because Yamal is not just a winger, he is a generator of fear. His first massive tactical statement came in the Euro 2024 semi-final against France. Yamal changed everything with one action. He received on the right, found the interval to move inside, opened his body, and hit an impossible left-footed shot. That is the point. Sometimes Yamal hurts you with the ball. In the final against England, his impact was different. For the 1-0, he attacked from the right, attracted defenders, and with the movements of Olmo and Morata, helped clear the weak side. That allowed Nico Williams to appear free on the left and finish. That is one of Yamal's biggest virtues. When he drives at you, the opponent is not only defending the player with the ball, they are defending the threat that he could break the match. And that threat creates advantages, even when the final pass goes to the other side. With Hansi Flick's Barcelona, that influence became even more aggressive. In the 2025 Spanish Super Cup final against Real Madrid, Yamal was part of the high press that destroyed Madrid's build-up. Flick built a first line with Yamal, Lewandowski and Gavi, closing inside passes and forcing mistakes in dangerous zones. But his role was not only defensive. In attack, he and Rafinha stretched the pitch and attacked Lucas Vázquez and Mendy again and again. Madrid did not have enough help outside. Every Yamal reception forced them to drop, shift, or break their line. His goal in that final symbolized everything. In the 2025 Copa del Rey final, again against Real Madrid, the match showed both sides of his role. In possession, Barca tried to create interior fluidity to release him outside. Yamal was the piece designed to receive wide, attack 1 versus 1, and find depth. That tells you how important Yamal is tactically. Then came the Champions League semi-final against Inter, and maybe that was one of his most impressive performances, even though Barcelona were eliminated. Inter defended with a low block, man-to-man pressure, and an aggressive structure to close inside lanes. But Yamal was Barcelona's most constant source of danger. 124 actions, 14 dribbles, the most active player on the team. Then, in the 2025 League Clásico, his influence was total. Barcelona were losing 2-0 against Real Madrid, but Yamal became the differential winger in the comeback. He scored the 2-2. Tactically, he was a permanent problem for Fran Garcia and Tchouaméni. He received wide, attacked inside, pinned the fullback, and opened intervals for Ferran, Olmo and Rafinha. That performance shows his evolution. He is no longer a kid who does beautiful things. He is a footballer who breaks structures. Then came the 2026 World Cup, and the demand changed. He was no longer being asked to promise. He was being asked to decide. Against Saudi Arabia, he delivered a goal, an assist and the MVP award. Against Uruguay, he was involved and active. Against Portugal, he suffered at times against Nuno Mendes, but grew in the final stretch. Against Belgium, almost every dangerous Spain attack went through him. He feinted, created and forced Courtois to intervene. He has not necessarily been the best player of the tournament by numbers, but he has been one of the players who most conditioned Spain's plan. And everything led to the World Cup semi-final against France. There, Yamal confirmed again that his impact does not depend only on scoring. Spain identified Lucas Digne as the weak point and attacked him with Lamine from the first minute. He read a loose ball before Digne, put his body in front, forced the foul and won the penalty that tilted the semi-final. That is not luck. That is instinct. That is timing. And later, he even scored a goal that was disallowed for offside. When the match is heavy, Yamal appears. Even when he does not sign the goal, he signs the fear, the imbalance, the mistake, the advantage. That is why the question matters so much. What if Lamine Yamal wins the World Cup? Because this is not just about a teenager lifting a trophy. This is about a player who has already changed knockout matches against France, finals against England. Clásicos against Real Madrid, Champions League nights against Inter, and a World Cup semi-final against Mbappe's France. He has done it by scoring, assisting, attracting defenders, forcing penalties, stretching blocks, and changing the emotional temperature of matches. And if he wins the World Cup at 19, the timeline breaks completely. He came to take it from everyone.